Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So hello everyone and welcome to Basics Discussion Circle and Meditation. My name is Travis. I facilitate this class. If it's your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. So tonight's topic that we'll be discussing will be a continuation of last week's topic, which was right mindfulness. Last week I got more into defining what mindfulness means within the context of the Buddha's teachings. And this week I'll talk a little bit more about the four foundations of mindfulness, which are kind of like categories of mindfulness that the Buddha gave. So with that, I think we'll get right into the meditation. So like last week, if you're sitting with anything in particular, you notice that there's a dominant emotion in the mind. If you'd like to type that in, to kind of take inventory of how you're feeling in this moment. Then we'll check again during the meditation and after the meditation to kind of see what happens with that emotion, whether it's a positive one or an unpleasant emotion. To notice within the context of the meditation how it feels different, how it may change during the sit, and then to be able to reflect back on it afterwards. This is, as I mentioned last week, a quality of mindfulness, being able to hold certain things in mind and being able to reflect on them later. So if you'd like to type any of that into the chat, feel free. And then before we get started, just a few things about posture. It's always good to cover those basics. If you're sitting in a chair, helpful to have feet flat on the ground. If you're sitting in a comfortable chair, maybe not fully utilizing the backrest, because there's a higher tendency to fall asleep. You can even try scooting up to the edge of the chair if you have a tendency to fall asleep during the meditation. You may find that helpful. If you're sitting on a cushion, then that means that you have a cushion at home and most likely you know how to sit. I like to bring the shoulders up and back and relax down into a really sturdy posture. Tongue can be pressed up against the roof of the mouth, gently against the back of the teeth. Prevents the buildup of saliva, which can become distracting. And throughout this meditation, I'll be giving certain instructions, potentially like breathing in through the ears and the eyes. It's a perceptual exercise or conceptual exercise to spread sensation of breath, which is this awareness and this tension relaxing sensation, to be able to take that and spread that sensation to parts of the body that may be starved of our awareness. So we can work up to this full-bodied, embodied awareness, this breath-embodied awareness. So with that, we'll get started. Closing the eyes and taking 3 deep breaths slowly. Noticing if deep breathing feels good. And if it does, you can keep on breathing in this way. If it doesn't, switch things up. Maybe even deeper still or more shallow, heavier or lighter. Just noticing what feels good for the body in this moment. Or you can even just pose the question in the mind as to what kind of breath would feel the most energizing or the most calming. And just watch how the breath responds. And once you've found a rhythm and texture of breathing that feels good in this moment, you can guide your awareness and focus down to the stomach or the center of the chest. Just maintaining this breathing and maintaining your awareness. Maybe questioning what perception you hold of the breath and of awareness. Do you perceive breath and awareness as two separate things? Does your experience of the moment change if you hold the perception that breath and awareness are one thing, one fluid activity? Without the breath, there would be nothing to be aware. Without awareness, you wouldn't notice the breath. So they can be thought of as one thing, not two. And as you maintain this breath awareness in the stomach or the chest, begin to notice if there's any tension or tightness in this area of the body. And see if you can expand this breath awareness out through this tension and tightness, dissolving it away all the way through the in-breath. And keeping it relaxed all the way through the out-breath. If you want, you can imagine the breath coming in right there at the stomach or right there at the heart. So you don't have to push or pull it from anywhere else. So it gently flows in as you breathe in. And it expands outward as you breathe out. Slowly filling the body from this point. And as this breath awareness expands through the body, as it notices any tension, it can flow through it, dissolving it away. Relaxing the shoulders and the jaw and the forehead. Filling it with breath. Flowing down the arms and down the legs. Anytime you get distracted, that's no big deal. Just bring your awareness gently back to that center point and expand again to fill the body. Just maintaining this broad but centered awareness, like a candle in a dark room. The light is focused in the center, but gently bathes the rest of the room. Our awareness is focused in the center, but gently fills the body. Breathing in, aware of the entire body. Breathing out, soothing the entire body. If you notice any unpleasant sensations in the body, see if you can breathe through them, dissolving them away. If you notice any pleasant sensations in the body, see if you can breathe into them, fueling them. Expanding them. And then from the foundation of this calmed, full body awareness. You can begin to look at the current state of the mind. And you can even call to mind an emotion that you've struggled with today. And just watch it for a while from this foundation. Not gripping onto it, not pushing it away. Just letting it be there, observing. And if you notice any tension start to form in the body while you're observing, just consciously relax it and then return to observing. And you can either continue watching this emotion or this mind state from this calm foundation. Or if you want, you can begin to question it with questions like, what is it that feeds this mind state? Or are there other emotions or mind states hiding behind it? And again, if there's any tension that arises, consciously relax it. Tension gets in the way of clear seeing. And you can let go of this perception, this emotion, or this mind state. You can physically relax around it and return into the body. Taking a few good, deep breaths. Slowly beginning to open the eyes and stretch if necessary. Comparing how you feel now after the meditation to how you felt before it. Noticing any differences if there are any. And reflecting back on where you were focused or how you were breathing. Reflecting on the causes that led to that effect. So before I get started talking about these foundations of mindfulness, I'm curious how that experience of meditation was for you. If you found that full body awareness helpful for maintaining focus, any experience that you want to share with working with the mind state or the emotion that you called to mind and relaxing into it. Anything like that. if you have any questions on any of the instructions, feel free to ask that as well in the chat here. So with the instructions that I gave today, they're a little bit different than how I normally lead the meditation. Normally, we pretty much just focus on what we did for the first half of this meditation, creating a sense of ease in the body, creating this full-bodied awareness. But we went a little further than that today. I hope that was okay. So with this style of meditation, the reason I led it this way is because of the topic tonight, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And for the most part, we kind of went through those 4 foundations of mindfulness very basically, but we went through them during this meditation. So these 4 foundations of mindfulness, the first one is body. And body really means breath and body. So it's working with the breath. And normally mindfulness of body is mainly what we do in this class. But so we worked with mindfulness of body, mindfulness of breathing, right? Then the second foundation of mindfulness is, sometimes it's translated as mindfulness of feelings, but it's really talking about feeling tones or sensations. So pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. So during the meditation, I gave the instruction of, if you notice an unpleasant sensation, see if you can breathe into it, soften into it, let it dissolve. But also, what I don't normally give the instruction of, at least I don't think, is if you notice a pleasant sensation, see if you can breathe into that. Allow that to expand, allow that to increase. Use the breath as fuel for that pleasant sensation. Because that pleasant sensation arose because we're filling the body with breath. So if we notice it arising, we can kind of direct more of our awareness or more of our breath to it and feel it a bit. And seeing if we can make that pleasant sensation expand. And ideally, we want to try to make it expand to fill the entire body. Because if the entire body has this pleasant sensation throughout it, it's a lot easier to remain focused on it. And then the next foundation of mindfulness is mindfulness of mind. So you had mindfulness of body, mindfulness of sensations, mindfulness of mind. So mindfulness of mind refers to the general inclination of the mind. It's not necessarily specific emotions that are arising, but it's more the backdrop to those emotions. So kind of what our current baseline state is. You know, maybe when you're having a really good day, you still have moments where you get irritated and angry and whatever else, but the backdrop is generally pleasant. When you're having a bad day, you still have moments where something may make you laugh or something like that, but the backdrop is generally unpleasant. So that's mindfulness of mind, is more the background noise that we're dealing with. And I did that a little bit in the meditation instruction, where we just checked in with where the mind's at right now. And then the final foundation of mindfulness is mindfulness of mental qualities, or dharmas. So mental qualities refers to more specific emotions, those things that pop up. That moment of irritation when there's a joyful backdrop, or that moment of joy when there's an unpleasant backdrop. Those sensations as they arise are mindfulness of mental qualities. All the things that tend to come bubbling up in the mind, especially when we're sitting. And then mindfulness of mental qualities also refers to keeping the teachings in mind. When the Buddha goes through the Satipatthana Sutra, which is the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the discourse on the 4 foundations of mindfulness, when he describes them in detail, he refers to mindfulness of dharmas or mindfulness of mental qualities as things like the 5 hindrances, sensory passion, ill will, laziness and lethargy, restlessness and remorse, and self-doubt. And then he refers to things like the factors of awakening, many other teachings. So that's kind of those 4 foundations of mindfulness, and that's what I try to guide us through during this meditation. Obviously, it takes some practice, but it's really beneficial to not just do mindfulness of body, but to get into kind of this mindfulness of mental qualities. Because all too often, someone may use meditation as a way to bypass what they're struggling with or what they're dealing with by just focusing on the breath and trying to forget about everything for the time being. But then as soon as they're done with their meditation, and then they get on Facebook or they go outside or they talk to someone, then it all comes rushing back. And it's really a shame, because the meditation, this meditative state of mind, this embodied awareness is the best foundation through which to begin to process these things and try to figure these things out by giving them space and by observing them. So it's best not to use the meditation as any kind of escape, but to really look directly at what we're dealing with. And sometimes this takes the form of those probing questions, like, what do I do that feeds this emotion? Or is there something hiding behind this emotion? Is this emotion masking a different state of mind that I really don't want to have to deal with? So I'm kind of safeguarding it behind a different unpleasant state of mind. Or sometimes a pleasant state of mind is hiding an unpleasant state of mind. So it's just this interesting quality of really looking at these things. So I may want to read a little bit, if that's okay, from the Satipatthana Sutra. I read a bit of it last week. Let's see. There is the case where one, having gone to their seat, holding their body erect and establishing mindfulness to the fore. The fore means the front of the chest. Always mindful they breathe in, mindful they breathe out. Breathing in long, they discern and breathing in long. Breathing in and out short, they perceive that they're breathing in and out short. And then what's interesting with it is it talks about they discern that they're breathing in and out long or in and out short, but then the language changes to they train themselves. I will breathe in sensitive to the entire body. they train themselves, I will breathe in calming bodily fabrications. In this way, they remain focused internally on the body in and of itself. They remain focused on the phenomena of origination with regard to the body, on the phenomena of passing away with regard to the body, or on the phenomena of origination and passing away with regard to the body, or the mindfulness that there is a body is maintained. They remain independent, unsustained by anything in the world. This is how one remains focused on the body in and of itself. So, with those, remain focused on the phenomena of origination with regard to the body and on the phenomena of passing away with regard to the body, refers to that once we've maintained this full bodied awareness, we can then begin to develop and once we've maintained this full body awareness and we've developed this calming of the entire body, we can then develop an awareness of cause and effect in this moment. Because we have this firm foundation, we can see things, we're more able to see things as they arise, this phenomena of origination and this phenomena of passing away. In terms of the body, that means physical sensations, pains, pleasures, anything like that. What's interesting to note is that whenever we have something that arises in the mind, we don't notice it arising. We notice it after it's arisen. And we don't notice it passing away. We notice that it's gone after it's gone. So this remains focused on the phenomena of origination and passing away refers in part to being still enough, being present enough to actually see these things as they arise. And when we can see kind of how the mind or how the body fashions certain things that maybe are normally distracting to us, we can then learn how to take out those building blocks so that it doesn't arise completely in the first place. If we can notice anger as it's beginning to arise as opposed to once it's fully there, we can cut it down before it fully blooms. And if we notice the causes that lead up to that anger, not only can we cut down that plant of anger, but we can actually uproot it. In the same way, when we notice how a pleasant or a positive sensation or mind state arises, we can then do that ourselves. We can maintain those causes to give rise to that effect. So I'll stop right there, and if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer a question or two. So I guess I'll close with this thought. Those 3 qualities that I had mentioned last week that constitute right mindfulness, those 7 qualities: ardent, alert, and mindful. Alertness being what we typically think of with mindfulness, this awareness of what's happening in the body and in the mind in the present moment. Ardency, this quality of staying with that, of focused investigation, digging a little deeper into what's happening within this moment. And then mindfulness, calling to mind past experiences, meditating, calling to mind teachings and tools that we've learned throughout our practice, and bringing them to bear on this moment, this quality of active memory. Regardless which of these frames of reference you choose to focus on, these 3 qualities of ardency, alertness, and mindfulness need to all come together to bear down on that frame of reference, for it to lead to a sense of peace and ease, and for it to promote clear seeing and lead to insights into the nature of our mind. So with that, we'll close. If comfortable, please join palms. May any merit gained from this meditation and discussion be dedicated to all those who suffer at this time. May all beings in all directions, without limit or end, be joyful and at ease. May we all be joyful and at ease. Metta karuna mudita upekkha sanghataya cetasa Chaturi sambharatva viharati Sammamudarupavena Sammadhammarupavena Sabbasangharupavena Sote hantu nirantaram. So thank you so much everyone for coming. So this Saturday from 8 to noon, we have our first half day of silence meditation retreat live via Zoom. All the information on that is available on the Dharma Bum's website. There will still be a walking period and a cleaning period, but you'll be walking at your home and cleaning at your home. Should be a really interesting experience. So if you're free and available, which you probably are, stop by and check that out. Natalie's class, the afternoon meditation, will be most likely resuming this upcoming Tuesday at noon. That will be via Zoom as well. We'll watch a video together and then have a discussion about the video. More information about that should be posted shortly. Thank you, everyone.